Hey there, this is Dawn, and welcome back to the Life with Old Dogs podcast. Today, I am here with Blake from Pawprint Oxygen. This is a company based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who provides oxygen supplies to our beloved pets, dogs and cats. We actually have purchased the products. We actually use them here at the sanctuary. We are very, very happy with the product that they supply. I can attest to the fact that it was quite literally a lifesaver for a cat that we had here with congenital heart failure. So without further ado, Blake, welcome to the podcast.
Great. Thanks so much for having me on. And I'm really glad the product's been working for you and your cat there.
Yes, it was, definitely awesome. So, Blake, tell us how you got your start. First of all, what is your position with the company and how did you get your start with Pawprint Oxygen?
Sure. So I'm the CEO and founder of Pawprint Oxygen. And we actually started, the initial idea started around 5 to 6 years ago when I was still in college at the University of Pittsburgh. So we're Pittsburgh, born and bred here. And I come from an engineering background. So I'm a chemical engineer and I was working on ways we can store oxygen more efficiently so we can get away from those heavy, high pressure tanks and try to have, a smaller, more portable and safer tank. And I was originally just working on this for people. And I actually met my co-founder, Mark, and a local veterinarian who really needed some help. This local vet was looking for a way to transfer critical pets just 15 minutes from her small veterinary clinic to an ER. And for people, that would be easy, right? You call an ambulance, you get oxygen on the way. It's super simple. But that service doesn't exist for pets. So we found out that so many pets were dying on the way from primary care to ER because they didn't have access to something as simple as oxygen. So we really made the product just for that use to start, right? To get our pets from our local hospital to the ER. And then it really started getting noticed. These pets were showing up to the ER alive for one, supported well, and the ER people or the ER doctors would say, what is this? How does this work? So it kind of spread around Pittsburgh and then beyond. So now it's used for so many other things in the vet field, but it really started with the transport case, actually.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And I have to tell you, having been in the rescue world literally for 24 years now and running a sanctuary myself, I can't tell you, I'm sure you understand how emotional and traumatizing it is when you have a pet in distress and you're trying your absolute best to get to the closest ER vet. And for some people like us, we're in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and our ER vet is 45 minutes away.
And
So,
we've heard that so much. And that's where it's really grown because it's even used at home. Because a lot of times as the pet owner, you are responsible for the pre-hospital care, right? There's no 911 to call. You have to decide, you have to deal with what's happening, decide if it's right to rush to the hospital, and can you make it there in time, right? So we noticed if that was stressing out vets and they weren't able to get pets to the next hospital safely, imagine how pet owners feel at home. So we started getting lots of calls about that of, our congestive heart failure pets at home who, get too excited and have an event, things like feline asthma and collapsing trachea. There's so many different conditions that ultimately result in respiratory distress, right? And that's what ends up getting these pets. So our idea is that, our product is a portable oxygen kit. We call them our Pawprint Oxygen kits. And they fit in your hand. They're really small. The oxygen cans are almost weightless. They resemble like a can of sunscreen or a can of hairspray or something. They're that lightweight. And it's so easy to use. You can just administer oxygen on the spot in 5 seconds. And you can administer 5 minutes of it, 30 minutes of it, 90 minutes of it. So it depends if your pet just needs a little pick me up at home. If they have an event resulting from, let's say, a collapsed trachea where they're struggling to get enough air in, you can give them more oxygen and kind of get them back to normal. Or if you have a congestive heart failure pet, they might have an issue where they need to go to the hospital no amount of Lasix or Pimobendin is going to bring them back down. They need to get to the hospital, but they need to be supported with oxygen on the way often. So it's been really amazing when pet owners kind of call us and share these stories with us. We've had a lot of rescues and shelters share these stories as well. All the great work you guys are doing. You're often caring for pets that they need that extra bit of care. And so when we hear that this product was able to get them to the ER for professional care or prevent that trip in the first place, that's why we do it. That means so much.
Mhm. Yes, and I just want to bend over here because we do have the rescue oxygen kit right here, and it comes in this nice case, and it has the canisters inside and the mask, directions on how to use it, which I have to say is super, super simple to comprehend. I would strongly suggest learning how to use it prior to actually needing it.
Yes.
But it is extremely easy to use in a situation where, like you said, collapsed trachea or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
And I know not everyone can see this, but I'm just holding up the canister to show you how small it really is. And it's
Mhm.
almost weightless. We also designed our own oxygen mask that is specifically designed to give oxygen to your pet. So it fits the snout of your pet. And the nice thing is, buying our oxygen kits are just like buying, your flea and tick or your heartworm or all the stuff you're used to getting at your vet, because we have different kits based on your breed and size. So if you get our small cat kit, you're going to get the right mask that's perfectly designed for your cat. You're going to get the flow rate, the regulator flow rate that's already dosed for your cat. So there's no setting a dosage, no thinking about it. You're literally just starting the flow of oxygen and you're good to go. So it really was meant to, be a lot less intimidating because, this isn't your typical oxygen cylinder where you see this big
Right.
clunky thing with this, 2-gauge regulator and you got to thread it on. It's nothing like that. Right. And
Mhm.
it's worth mentioning just how safe this is. Sometimes people hear oxygen and they think, right away, they think the big cylinders or that it's flammable or something. It's actually really only dangerous because of the high pressure at which it's usually held. So those big cylinders in the hospital, they're just high pressure, and that's why you got to be careful. Our canisters are 1/10 of the pressure. So they're really safe to use. You could drop it on the floor, you can store it in your car, you can use it wherever. So these were actually designed and approved to ship to you through the mail normally. And
And we
you can
got it.
keep it in your car. Yep, you got it. Normal UPS, right? So it's just worth saying that, it's a different take on oxygen. It doesn't have to be intimidating and scary, because we're giving it to you in a form factor that actually works for you and your pet. So
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like a whipped cream canister.
mhm.
It's light like that. It's a little bigger than that. It's not as slim. It's a little bigger, a little taller, but it feels the same. Like it just
Yeah.
feels light, but the oxygen's in there. And again, like you said, it's not intimidating at all. Um,
And what's nice
and
about that
I
as well is that you can recycle them just like a whipped cream canister. So instead of needing to, your local oxygen supplier to come back and refill, you just recycle it at home and then you can get another one if you need one. So a lot of times our kits will come with between 3 and 6 of these canisters. You might use 1 or 2 during a specific episode or session. And then if after a few months you need a few more canisters, you just call us and order them. So it's not something that is especially expensive or hard to get or anything like that. We're kind of treating it's almost like that emergency inhaler at home for your pet, right? That
right.
you can have it just in case. So we do service kind of dogs all over the spectrum, but especially a lot of those older pets as they start to get older and start to have, their congestive heart failure makes it a little harder to breathe, or, even when we talk about palliative and end of life care, it can really improve the quality of life of some of these pets.
Yes, and that's what we do.
Yep.
And it has. Now, I have a question about the canisters. Is there a like a life expectancy on the canisters, an expiration date?
Yeah, so we have a 2-year shelf life, is what we
Okay.
say. So yeah, it's 2 years. We've actually tested them way out past that. So a lot of times if vets have them on the shelf, they're still good. But yeah, if you call back and it's after the 2 years and you haven't had to use it, that's great, right? You haven't had to use your kit yet, and that means your pet's doing great, and we'll just replace those canisters.
Okay. Now, aside from the rescue oxygen kit, your company also has a chamber. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
exactly.
Can you
So
tell
we
us about
kind of
that?
break our products up into two categories. We have our portable rescue kit, which is great for on the spot, transferring to the hospital, and kind of, pets that might not need as much oxygen. On the other side, we have what we call extended therapy. So that would be pets that need to be in oxygen for, more than an hour a day or something like that. And so we actually have an oxygen chamber, multiple sizes of them. And it's a nice pop-up chamber that connects to an oxygen generator. And this generator is probably, the size of like a carry-on suitcase, a small one.
Mhm.
You plug it into your wall and turn it on, and it just constantly generates oxygen by taking in the room air in your home and purifying it. So it kind of works like an air purifier is how it looks. And it's really nice. It's actually very similar to a generator, someone with COPD or a respiratory disease would use at home. What we do is make it very easy to use to set up with this oxygen chamber so you can put your pet in the chamber and they can get comfortable and enjoy, 2 to 4 hours, maybe even 6 hours of oxygen therapy. And what's really great about this is a lot of times when pets need oxygen and they have to go to the vet, that can add additional stress and anxiety, right? Now, this is not by any means an ER replacement, right? Some pets really need to be in the hospital to get that extra level of professional care. And that's why our oxygen cage and concentrator are actually on a prescription basis. So you can go to our website and see what's right for you and pick it out. And if you pick that one, you give us some of your vet info, and we actually reach out to them and work with them and make sure it's right. So it's great. We're working with your vet where they're recommending the level of oxygen. Do you need 20%, 40%, 60%? And we're really working them closely to make sure your pet is getting the absolute best possible care at home.
Okay. So we actually have affiliation with a rescue not far from here, and they actually purchased one of those because earlier this year there was something going around, almost like a canine COVID. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, some dogs had succumbed to it. So I had suggested your company to this rescue, and they did end up getting the chamber, and the dog is fine. But
Oh, that's good.
it needed that service, at home service and care
Yeah.
for quite a few days.
And we've been hearing, we heard a lot about that in the fall, like you're saying, that canine, that it was kind of like the mystery illness for a while is what it
It
was called.
was.
And it was kind of sporadic throughout the country. We actually had it kind of sweep through a shelter and rescue in Oregon, and we had to overnight a lot of equipment there. And what was great is, this is something where like as long as they have oxygen, they can recover. So it's not something where they need oxygen for the rest of their lives, right? It's almost like a pneumonia where they do get better, but you might need a week or a month on oxygen. So we were really happy to be able to help them. We wish it never happened, of course, but it was really great that we
Right.
could help them in the comfort of their own home or rescue or shelter, give them longer term oxygen. So we actually can serve up to a 70-pound dog in our oxygen cages. Once we get bigger than that, we just don't have a cage big enough, so we use a mask or something like this.
Mhm.
But yeah, it can be a really great option for pets that need that extra, kind of oxygen, or if they just aren't quite cooperating with an oxygen mask and they feel more
Right.
comfortable sitting in a chamber, because it really kind of does look like their crate or something like that. It's a lot of times you put a little blanket in there and they get quite comfortable.
Sure. And the sides are they're see-through. So
Yes.
like you said, I mean it's like they're in their crate and they're just looking out. And yeah, it's like a cozy little nook for them and they're just getting a little added bonus in there.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, home care has really come a long way for pets. A lot more things are being done at home. And, if we can, help some of these pets gain some quality of life, the goal is never for a pet to live in an oxygen chamber forever. We know
Right.
that's not what we want. But a lot of these pets can get better and they just need that for a few months, or maybe it is coming up on their time and it helps them get a little more comfortable near the end. And that's been, as sad as it can be, it's been one of the more special parts about doing this is hearing people come back to us and say, this really gave us the time we needed, to bring the kids home, say bye, knowing that, Fluffy was still comfortable. So, it's so interesting that we started this just with that transport use case in mind. Again, getting pets from one hospital to the other. And it's our vets, our shelters, our rescues, people like you that are showing us new ways that this equipment can be really useful, whether it's, saving an emergency at home or providing more quality of life. So we've really learned a lot from this. We had one idea, right? And it's really our vets in their own hands have shown us all that it can be used for.
Yeah. People today, I mean, listen, I'm in my 50s, and when I was young, dogs were dogs. Now, dogs are family. And to many people, dogs and cats are their children, and they want what's best for them. And it pains them to see products like this that weren't available before, and they felt helpless to help their animal in whether it be, just a brief little time of need, or like you said, for palliative and hospice care, which is what we do. So I can see this, if it hasn't caught on already, I can definitely see it catching on and spreading. I mean, we have it here. I show it to everybody. We were out in Wyoming not too long ago, and I took it with me because it's higher in altitude there. And some of the
Yes.
people that we were with, they were getting bloody noses and whatnot. And I'm sure the dogs felt it too. So I had it just in case.
Yeah. And you make a good point. So a lot of times when, pet owners are responsible for finding, looking up their treatments, and they're doing a lot of research on their own, right? And sometimes you can think of, am I the only one? So we get that question a lot when people call in am I the only one trying this? Like, do people do this? And our answer is yes. We've had over 10,000 pets actually prescribed this product by veterinarians. So it's really used a lot. We're used in a couple thousand veterinary hospitals as well. So there's a chance that if you go to your vet and ask about it, they actually already have it, and they're equipped for it. So we always say, when people call, you're definitely not the first. You're not going to be the last who's done this. And, we've probably seen a pet very similar to yours, a little Chihuahua with congestive heart failure, or a Yorkie with collapsed trachea, or maybe it's a Labrador Retriever with a little bit of laryngeal paralysis. We do a lot of dogs and cats, but one thing I like to mention is we've kind of seen everything at this point in terms of exotics. So we've had a Gila monster, we've had a lot of goats, we've had rats, pigeons. I think we've had birds of paradise, turkeys, things like that. So it just really speaks to how, broad the need for oxygen is. And it can be used in so many different areas. So it's been really fun when we get those calls, when we can help. We were used by the National Aviary area in Pittsburgh as well, our hometown. So that was really exciting too.
So of course, we want to get the word out about your amazing product and share it with people that we know would want it for their pet as well. So how would somebody get started? Like, obviously they could go to your website, but what do they do when they get there? Like they don't really know what they need. So what do they do?
Yep. So our website is pawprintoxygen.com. And really the website is really geared towards learning, because we have these, multiple different options where you can actually take a quiz, where you just enter your pet's info and their condition and kind of some of their symptoms. And we can kind of recommend you to one product or the other. Right. And the nice thing is you can feel comfortable that if you want to talk to your vet about this, they've probably heard about it. And if you're looking at something like an oxygen chamber or concentrator, we're going to call your vet anyways. So it's not something where this is going to be, an impulse buy where you're like, should I have gotten that? This is a need, not a want, right, for most pets. And so, if you have any questions about it when you're on the site, all you have to do is call our number. It's actually just the number at the top of the website, and you will get a person right away. There's right behind me, you've seen them walking by. We have an awesome customer service team, all of which came from the vet field, whether they were vet techs or things like that. And they really guide you through this process because we know it can be scary too. We get calls from pet owners that are in the ER making decisions on the spot, and we're here to help with that and guide you. So it's not just a buy a product online type of experience. You can do that if you want to, but we really like when you call in and we walk you through this.
And I think just being someone myself who has purchased it, I think that is gold right there because like you said, you want to know what it is that you're purchasing, what exactly it's used for. You, of course, don't want to hurt your pet. So you want to know, you want to be armed with that knowledge. So it's fantastic that there's a live person to speak to on the other end. I think that goes a long way in today's day and age because we're getting further and further away from that.
Yeah, and we've dedicated, we felt that make the difference right away. I mean, it was when we first started, it was me and Mark, the two founders, answering every single phone call. And you'll still get us on the phone a lot of the times. Now we just have more help. But we learned by doing that at the beginning how important that is. And we learned a lot about what our customers need and want too, in their different situations that they're in. So I'm telling you, usually at this point, we've seen a lot. So we can definitely, if it's not right for you, we'll tell you that and we'll give you another option probably because we have those too. So we are really in it to help you. And so, I just encourage if you have questions about it, just go on the website and then give us a call.
Yeah, and aside from actually speaking to an actual person, your resources page is phenomenal. Aside from frequently asked questions, not just for veterinarian resources, but pet parent resources as well. You also have videos, tutorials, and a wonderful blog.
Yeah, I'm
And I
glad you
love it. I
mentioned
actually
that.
poured through it.
Yeah. It's become very educational because we realize that,
Yes.
we like our customer service team is such a great wealth of knowledge. And we said, well, not everyone is going to hop on the phone and talk to them. So how do we share this? Because we really are the experts in respiratory care and in oxygen. So we want to be that home base. And we even want to be that for a lot of vets because vets are responsible for knowing so much information. And, the day they learned about oxygen might have been 1 or 2 days. And they have so much to do. So, do they know how to prescribe this and they know what's best for your pet? Absolutely. Do they need to know the exact flow rate in this oxygen cage for that pet? That's why we're there to help them and be their teammate. So I always say this to vets, we're not taking pets out of your hospital at all, right? That's why we call you and see if it's right on a prescription. And we really make sure that it's right for them. So we really see ourselves as it's a three-way team, right? It's the pet owner, us, and the vet, and we're here to help facilitate that.
Mhm. And we appreciate that. One question. So for all of your products, you do need someone would need a prescription. They would need to go to their vet and get a prescription.
So our portable oxygen kits do not require one. So those can be purchased online. You can do a lot of learning on them if you'd like. They're also so easy to use. It's one of those things that, they're designed in a way, if you had no instructions and you just open the box, they're all on the canister,
Right.
right? So it's so quick to use, but we want you to feel comfortable. For our extended therapy, the longer term oxygen, that's where you need a prescription. And a lot of times, sometimes people will start with an oxygen kit, and then after a year or two, if they progress, they might need to go up to the, concentrator and cage, the extended therapy. So a lot of times we're working with people who go through the kind of the spectrum.
Mhm. Okay, so no prescription for the rescue kit, but definitely a prescription for the concentrator and the chamber, which makes absolute sense. And again, it is to protect the dog or cat. It's so the correct dosage is given, the correct amount of time in the chamber is given. So it is a necessity.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Okay, well, this has been wonderful, and I'm so grateful that we were able to chat. I'm excited to get this information out to pet parents who follow along with Life with Old Dogs Media. So, Blake, if people would like to find out more, where can they find you online?
Yeah, so they can go to pawprintoxygen.com, and we also have a very informative Instagram and Facebook as well, that are just both under the name Pawprint Oxygen. So those are all great resources to learn. On Instagram, you'll see a lot of pet owners sharing their own stories about, their pets and even taking videos of using the product. So it's such a good way to learn about this stuff online.
Okay. And do you have a YouTube channel as well?
We do, yes. Thanks for mentioning that. Yep, and that's
Okay.
being built up more every day. It's a lot of product tutorials right now, and it'll start to get even more into certain conditions and breeds, so it can really be your resource even before you might need our products.
Right. And that's what I was thinking. People can actually check it out and, it'll either resonate with them or it won't. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they should definitely check that out. All right. Well, Blake, this was fantastic. Thank you for your time. I know you're busy there. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, well, I appreciate you having me on. What you're doing is such a great resource for pet owners, so thank you.
Thank you. Take care.